we learned so far?
I went online and researched an overview of the community. The city of Stockbridge was founded on May 15, 1821, and is named after a Yankee schoolteacher, Professor Stockbridge. However, the earliest settlement wasn't until 1829 when the old Stockbridge Concord Methodist Church organized. Stockbridge was officially incorporated as a town in 1895 and as a city on August 6, 1920. The city of Stockbridge is located in Henry County and shares boundaries with Morrow, Rex, Jonesboro, and McDonough. As you can see, Stockbridge has really strange boundaries. You can literally enter and exit the city of Stockbridge while traveling a short distance down the same road.
That's really weird. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe we can ask someone when we get there. So what are the demographics of Stockbridge?
The population by race has majority African American at 43%, followed by white at 38%. Hispanics, Asians, and other race groups make up the remaining 19%. Next, let's look at the population by language. As you can see, 83% speak English. Only 8%, however, speak Spanish, and the remaining 7% speak other languages. The income per household shows that the majority of the population is lower middle class, making between $25,000 and $75,000 a year.
So how many public schools are located in Stockbridge?
There are a total of 9 elementary schools in the Stockbridge area. However, only 2 of them are actually inside the city limits, Smith Barnes and Stockbridge Elementary. All of the other schools, including 3 middle schools and 2 high schools, are located in the unincorporated part of Stockbridge, but still have Stockbridge addresses. There is also 1 Montessori school, 1 alternative school, and 2 private schools, Community Christian School and North Henry Academy.
So what are the major community resources?
Stockbridge has a total of 5 public parks. 3 of them, Gardner Park, Clark Community Park, and Cochran Park, share the same area and amenities. They have their own city hall, which hosts Food Truck Tuesdays and a public library.
What about the crime rates and police department? There's actually no local police department in Stockbridge. They have a contractual agreement with Henry County's police department. But maybe we can ask them some more questions. Sounds good. So now that we've covered an overview of the community, let's go visit.
During our visit, we should be on the lookout for community resources, organizations, and businesses. So let's make sure we go to all of the places we already stated, like City Hall and the library.
I'm so glad we went to City Hall. The receptionist was very helpful and gave us this awesome map. Let's go talk to the local patrons and see what they have to say about their community.
How long have you lived in Stockbridge? Do you live in Stockbridge?
Yes,
would be the first question.
About 20 years.
Okay. What type of activities do you do?
Walk at the park at Cochran Park. Activities, we just do bingo and stuff.
Okay. And where do you do bingo?
There's one on Mount Zion. There's one in Jonesboro. We're all over the place.
So what do you like and dislike about Stockbridge?
I love Stockbridge. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood. So it's wonderful.
From Stockbridge?
No, we live in Clayton County.
You live in Clayton County? Okay. Do you guys visit Stockbridge a lot?
What does that mean specifically?
Do you go shopping in Stockbridge? Do you eat in Stockbridge?
Oh, yes.
Yes, all the time?
We do a lot.
And why do you come here?
Because we like it, and it's a more closer to where we live in. Used to we live in Fayette County, but
yeah.
we just buy a place close to this area, so we like it better.
So what made you move from Fayette County to Clayton County?
Well, I think I found me a better, more flexible about money.
Yeah.
Buy my property.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, cool.
So it's a lot. I like back there, about the school in Fayette County.
Yeah.
But can't feel to live back there,
Okay.
It's kind of, so that's why we like living where we live right now, Clayton County. But I like to come and Stockbridge back, like to buy or eat.
Do you guys live in the area?
Yes.
What made you guys move here?
His job, and I work from home, so we're going to be closer to each other.
Okay. What type of activities and places do you go in Stockbridge?
Well, we have a dog, as you can see. So we take her to the dog park. That's actually, it's like right behind, but kind of next to this Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah. So we take her there. And there's a cool bowling alley too. That's like right in front of our apartment complex.
Oh, that's really
It's
cool.
packed like everything.
What are some things that you would change about Stockbridge?
Definitely like the policing authority. They are more concerned about running traffic tickets for running stop signs or just speeding through the neighborhood versus somebody calling you about someone just robbed my home.
Yeah.
I would prefer you to answer quickly to that than somebody doing 40 and a 35.
Right.
You know? But other than that, that's about it. And I mean, I guess a lot of with the businesses being gone, that's making a lot of the people move away too.
Yeah.
Because if it's not stuff close to home, you don't want to live there.
Are you from Stockbridge?
Yes,
How long have you lived here?
20 years.
Where did you go to school?
Stockbridge Elementary, high school, middle school, Smith Barnes.
Okay. Do you like it here?
So
It's all right. So what do you like and what do you? It's boring. What do you wish that they had to make it not boring?
really anything. There's nothing. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. You gotta go to McDonald's, Mario, whatever, to go see a movie, go to the mall, what have you.
So what did you think about the schools in Stockbridge that you went to? Teachers,
Teachers were
principals?
fine. Never met the principal. Not really. I mean, there's assemblies, but besides that,
Right.
You never saw him just roaming the hallways, saying hey to kids?
no.
Do you work here? What type of demographics do you see?
Lots of Hispanics. And we're an Indian. A lot more Indians than I used to see. When we started out, there was none. I was like in elementary school, and now there's every little convenience store.
So it's definitely been changing and moving in different directions
Yes.
since you started living here?
Yeah.
And you are?
Jeremy Williams.
And do you live in Stockbridge?
I currently live in Stockbridge.
Why do you live in Stockbridge?
In 1996, I was a real estate agent, and I did the census research, and it was a great place to move to. So convenient. I was 2 miles from work. It was an easy choice.
So how do you feel about the community? What do you like or do you dislike about it?
The likes are convenient. Lots of retail, shopping, restaurants. The dislikes, it has become overcrowded, overpopulated. Traffic is horrible. Quality of the folks has diminished.
Okay. Do you feel safe here?
I feel perfectly safe. When I leave my house, do I feel like my house is safe? No, it's already been robbed twice.
What's the demographic of your neighborhood?
Multicultural. I'd say that's probably the top three: African American, Hispanic, and white.
What do you do for fun?
Plenty of restaurants. And that would probably be the only thing I do for fun in Stockbridge.
Do you have any knowledge of the schools in Stockbridge?
I would have no knowledge. No kids in the house, so no knowledge of the schools.
None of your friends in Stockbridge have kids in school?
They do, and they go to private schools in other areas.
Let's go check out the library. Cochran Public Library was dedicated into service January 2006. Named after an affluent family in the city, Mr. Cochran donated the land in which it used to sit. He stipulated in his will that if ever the building be moved, it still had to be named after him. Today, the building sits next to one of the 5 parks located in the city. Clark Community Park has 11.8 acres of land, an expansive playground, several picnic pavilions, a dog park, and walking trails.
It's nice to see the community of Stockbridge actually maintaining and using their community resources. On the way here, I saw a community arts center. I wonder what that's used for.
I read that the City of Stockbridge, the Stockbridge Downtown Development Authority, and the Academy Theater have entered into a public/private partnership to serve the citizens of Stockbridge. The Academy Theater will manage and renovate the 22,000 square foot Stockbridge Community Arts Center.
During this trip to Stockbridge, we should go talk to a business owner and get our questions about the boundaries and police department answered.
And your name is?
Andy Gorham.
And do you own a business?
I do.
What do you own?
State Farm Agency.
Okay. And how long have you owned your business?
I've had this business for about 1.5 years, and I've worked for the company for about 7.
Okay. And
So have you always been located in Stockbridge?
No, I haven't.
Where were you before Stockbridge?
Athens.
Do you like Stockbridge or Athens better?
Athens.
Why do you like Athens better?
It's got more of a little town feeling to it. Stockbridge being a metro Atlanta county. Our customers, it seems like I had a better understanding of the people that I was with before.
do you live in the area?
I do. I live in McDonough.
Where do you like to eat or types of activities do you like to do in Stockbridge?
I'm involved in the Chamber of Commerce for the county. However, most of the activities do take place in McDonough. It doesn't seem like there's a ton for maybe younger people to do. I'm not so much sure about the rest of the community.
How do you feel about the community? What do you like and what do you dislike?
So the people that live here, they're very friendly.
Do most of your clients live in Stockbridge, or do you have more in McDonough?
I would say it's probably half of my customers are in Stockbridge, but I mean, I have customers in Savannah and, the mountains and you name it.
And your name is?
My name is Steve Cat.
And you are from?
Stockbridge, Georgia.
And how long have you lived here?
62 years. All my life.
And what do you do for a living?
I am the executive director for the Henry Council for Quality Growth.
Alright, so earlier you were you were starting to tell us about the police department?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question because the city of Stockbridge has gone through a history of issues involved with police departments. Back in the 60s and 70s and probably earlier, Stockbridge was just a little bitty town. It didn't call for a very large police department. Back in the 60s, as Stockbridge began to grow, Stockbridge had to add on more personnel. And it seems like the more personnel they added on, the more corrupt the police department became. It came to the point where, well, even paying off officers, if someone had a DUI, they could pay off somebody and it would go away. So there came a point in time where Stockbridge Police Department just had to go away. And so the Henry County Police Department and the Sheriff's Office at that time, back in the 80s, started doing the patrol work and protecting the city of citizens, the city of Stockbridge. Paying a fee to Henry County for this protection. And over the years, since the 80s, they have been doing a good job. Henry County has. Henry County says, hey, we're going to start charging more because the bulk of our time is spent answering calls in North Henry County in the city of Stockbridge. The city of Stockbridge says, heck no, we're not going to pay it. We're not going to go up this much. So it's been negotiations for over a year now to have a study done to see if there's a need for Stockbridge having its own police department. So that's pretty much where we are now. The bulk of the crime in North Henry County. Drug-related cases, whether it be burglaries, robberies, DUIs. But it's sad to see that the place where I grew up has transformed in such a way. Hadn't lost hope yet. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stay here and try to be part of the solution.
Why does Stockbridge have such strange boundaries?
That's a good question. All goes back to the city of Stockbridge or landowners wanting to make better what they have as far as owning properties. The city of Stockbridge wants annexation. And why it looks so irregular is, I said in my case, I had 22 acres annexed into the city of Stockbridge because the county, unincorporated Henry County, would not allow me to zone the property as I desired it to be zoned. The city of Stockbridge welcomed the way I did that, which is to fill out an application, you go before the city council, and they say, come on. And then, as you look at the map, you'll see different tenants sticking out, going north, south, east, or west, and you'll see one landowner after another landowner wanting to come into the city, and that's why it looks so irregular. It's been this way for years now, where the city of Stockbridge is wanting to fill in the void. Piedmont Henry Hospital and some of the neighborhood behind it are not in the city of Stockbridge. Yeah, it's surrounded by the city of Stockbridge. Now, the city of Stockbridge wants to annex Henry Medical Center, or now called Piedmont Henry. But the county says, no, we don't want you to annex. We want to keep the hospital in the county.
What do you do for fun in Stockbridge?
Go to Sonic. There's nothing to do for fun in Stockbridge. Tuesday nights they have food truck night beside City Hall. Sometimes we go out and we visit food trucks, and sometimes they have movie nights and they have concert nights beside City Hall there. But that's about it, and that's a shame. We want to change that too.
Now let's gather and synthesize information specifically about the community public and private schools. I have a friend who works at Woodland High School in Stockbridge. Let's go visit her.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk to the principal and find a high school student with a parent while we're there.
And you are?
I'm Hillary Rogers, math teacher at Woodland High School.
And how long have you been here?
This will be my 4th year coming up.
What would you say are the strengths and areas of improvement for your school?
Strength-wise, I think the community of teachers, they really band together, and it's, it's not one against the other here. It's we help each other, and for the kids, it's the same thing. Like they are different. They have demographic differences, but they work together. And something we could work on, which we are working on for next year, is connecting with the community more, to where we can get kids connected with internships or anything like that out in their own community.
Does the community support this school? How or why not?
Last year we had Zaxby's and a few other places that would hold spirit nights. The local skating rink has already made it a point to advertise that we can have some nights there. But as far as just growing the community outreach, we're going to definitely look into doing that more.
If money were no object, what would they do with or for their school?
I think one thing is the one-to-one technology. There's other high schools in the county that have that already, but that was one of their pushes when they opened. And while that's important, that just hasn't been our main focus. We have technology. We have about 20-something laptop carts that we can split throughout the school, and we have about 6 to 8 labs. And I think just personally, if we had no money issues, then we could do anything. I think making the classrooms a little less structured, because I've researched and gone to conferences where classrooms that look more like college rooms, where it's, you're not in a desk all period, you're, at a high top table, or you're at a lounge chair or something, is much more conducive to the learning environment.
What kind of extracurricular activities does the school have?
We have a lot. We have all the sports basically. We added lacrosse, gymnastics, and swimming the last 3 years to keep up with the Title IX standards that we weren't meeting at the time. Got the regular sports, but then we have activities like, anime club and gaming club where kids can go play board games and learn new board games. And so we have a really big arts program where those kids can do band, chorus, orchestra, art. And then if we don't have something here, we have the academy at Henry County High School where they can go over there if they want ROTC, if they want to do cosmetology or mechanics class, they can go over there and get some of those activities done too. Yeah, so the way the schedule works is you either go in the morning and then come here for your afternoon classes or vice versa. So there's buses that run midday. So we have kids that take like 2 classes here, 3 classes, and then they go to the academy the rest of the day for, specialized classes like mechanics or anything like that we can't offer them.
What are the demographics of the school?
We're about 50% African American, about 35% white, and then Asian, Hispanic make up the others. But as a whole, we have about 40s, probably 45% free reduced lunch.
What about the demographics of the teachers?
I think majority are Caucasian, and we have a good bit of African Americans as well.
What advice would you give to a teacher candidate?
I think you have to know that in this day and age, test scores are what kind of drives everything, unfortunately. But if you can kind of stand up to that and still do you.
And your name is?
My name is Shannon Ellis.
And your job title is?
I am the principal at Woodland High School in Stockbridge, Georgia.
And before you worked at Woodland, where did you work?
I was a counselor. I was a high school counselor, and I was at Dutchtown High School, and I was also at Stockbridge High School. So I did 4 years at Stockbridge High School and then 3 years at Dutchtown High School.
And so comparing those schools to this school, what are the maybe pros and cons of those schools versus this school?
Well, we're all in the same school system. I think you've got different, there's different demographic differences. I think with the Stockbridge cluster, I think that there's, we've seen a lot of change within Henry County with growth. And so when you get growth, you've got people moving in and people moving out. A lot of the schools are relatively stable now because the growth is sort of leveled off.
How is parent involvement in the school?
Here, parent involvement is really better than some of the other schools that I've worked at. We have a lot of parents that are very engaged. We have an open door policy where parents can come in and view their kids in class and actually sit in and observe their students in class. I think that allows for a lot of transparency between what happens here and what the students are learning. And it also helps sort of build that bridge between home and school. So for open houses and parent-teacher conference nights, we usually have in between 85 and 90% of our parents show for those. So that's a really, really high number when it comes to parent involvement.
Do you notice different demographic types of parents that come in?
If I had to give a subgroup of parents that are probably not involved, that would be your kids that are lower socioeconomic wise.
Okay.
I think that that's probably the biggest trend that we notice, is that those parents are very sort of hands-off, I think, when it comes to education. And it's probably, maybe they don't value it the same as someone of a higher socioeconomic status.
If money were no object, what would you do for or with your school?
If money were no object, I would 110% pay our teachers more. 110%. They are the most overworked, underpaid individuals, hands down.
Is the school system getting what it needs or wants from their teachers?
I believe so. I think our teachers do such an amazing job. We don't ever get to choose our students, and so I think when it comes to sort of that caring for that social emotional aspect of our kids, I think that the teachers do 110%.
What advice would you give to future teachers?
I think teaching is one of those fields that is so rewarding, and it's so you're able to see growth when you're able to see kids, come in as freshmen that are scared to death and leave as graduates going on to do wonderful things. There's nothing more rewarding than that.
All right, and your name is?
Rylan Franklin.
And you are from?
Woodland.
What grade are you in? Freshman, sophomore?
I'm a junior.
How far do you have to travel to get here?
5 minutes.
What do you think about your school? What do you like and what do you dislike?
I like the environment. Like, we're a good school.
What do you not like about it?
It's too many people.
What sort of extracurricular activities are you involved in?
I play basketball and I run track.
What do you do for fun outside of school?
Play basketball. Or I'm on my phone or watching TV.
What do you think about your community? So not just Woodland, but outside of, so Stockbridge. What do you like or what do you not like about it?
Oh, I like Stockbridge. It's calm. Like, it's not a lot of bad or good stuff happening. It's calm.
Do you feel safe in your community?
Yes, I feel safe.
So you're not worried about walking around?
I can walk down the street and I'll be okay.
What's your name?
Brenda Franklin.
And you are?
Rylan Franklin's mom.
Okay.
So do you technically live in Stockbridge?
We technically live in McDonough,
Okay.
but we're like right on the cusp between the two.
Even people in McDonough still come to Woodland.
That's right. Yeah. So, because like I say, we live in McDonough. It's the North McDonough is pretty much who is still routed here. When you get into the actual city of McDonough, they're more Union Grove or the other schools.
And how long have you lived there?
Since 2002.
Oh, really? Where did you live before that?
Before that, we were in DeKalb County.
And what made you move from DeKalb?
For all the reasons you're asking me why we're here. So just the whole demographics, making sure that the education is one that he can be successful in and also be able to thrive once he moves on to college. One of the main reasons that we moved here was before he got into school. So.
How do you feel about the community? What do you like or do you dislike about it?
I think the community itself is a close-knit community. I think one of the things that attracted us to this area, we were actually going to go to the Union Grove location, is why we moved into this area. And then they built Woodland High School and Woodland Middle School. So we were but one of the things that I wasn't as happy about is just the merger of Clayton County and different counties coming into the Henry County community. And initially I was concerned.
And what were your concerns initially?
Initially it was because they were commuting folks from the Clayton County, and as you know, they were unaccredited and all that kind of deal, so I was concerned about the academic side of it, and then also the school environment for myself.
The demographics.
Yes. But once the school was built, and the amount of progress we've had, as far as academically, it's really good for us. So we're okay with not being at Union Grove because it's comparable.
Okay.
Go Wolfpack.
Wow, we sure have learned a lot about the city of Stockbridge. What initial assumption did you have about the community before we visited?
I thought originally Stockbridge was located closer to Peachtree City than it actually is. Therefore, I thought they would share similarities in their community culture and resources. What about you?
I had traveled to Stockbridge a couple of times in the past, and it seemed that there was only one main road where all of the community resources were located. During my previous trips, the community seemed to be extremely run down and underdeveloped.
So it sounds like our assumptions were total opposites of each other, but we were both partially correct. Stockbridge has a huge gap in its community's economic status and housing types. How do you think this affects the students in the community as well as education in Stockbridge?
The schools are not fully served by the community because the city itself isn't getting what it needs, such as its own police force. There is also no sense of history in the community or its government officials. The schools have a hard time building a history when there is no preservation of where they have come from. For example, the original Stockbridge High School is repurposed for storage. So instead of renovating it to grow with the community, they chose to build a new school outside of the city limits.
I think that socioculturally the school may be struggling as well since the students' population is predominantly African American and the teacher population is predominantly white. The teachers should be aware of the cultural differences and make sure that they use techniques that we talked about in class, like how the principal discusses bridging the gap between schools and home.
I think the most challenging component to this project has been finding any information about Stockbridge, such as the history, why there's no local police force, and understanding the boundaries of what is in the city of Stockbridge versus unincorporated Stockbridge. I am just glad that we got to interview such a diverse group of people and enjoy Sonic just like the rest of the community does.